think sometimes what child welfare just across the nation sometimes misses is that piece that when we're in the foster system, you guys are essentially our parents. Like, we are literally wards of the state. And I think they lose that point, and especially that mentorship aspect, and especially when we start talking about the older youth population, even when, okay, let's say 16 to even 21, that population where they're eligible for independent living, or they're eligible for different resources that the younger youth are not, they can't access at that point. I feel like a lot of the times, again, they're looking at a way to just check it off the box. Like, right, you meet with your life set coach, you meet with your social worker, and they have a list of surveys you fill out, right? Like, where do you see yourself in 6 months? I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing by the end of the week. So they lose sight that at the end of the day, we're still people, and we're going through like day-to-day life things, and sometimes they try to just loop us in a box to try to just get the things done, especially when you're like hitting that age where you're about to age out. I remember all the list of meetings and the things that I had to fill out, and I was getting so overwhelmed because all I wanted to do was figure out how to sort through my student loan, so when I graduate, I could have something set up where I have some type of payment plan or something, so I could like figure that out, as well as like filing my taxes. And it's like, why do I have to ask you that? And if I had a parent, right, if I had a parent that was able to do that, it would be easier, right? Like, hey, mom or dad, like, I need you to help me do this, or I need you to walk me through this. And I think sometimes that piece is missing, and people don't realize how pivotal that is, because nobody could have prepared me for adulting. Like, as much as I thought I was grown when I turned 18, I'm like, wow, there's like no cheat code to life. The bills are still gonna come, the life is still gonna life, like, and it's like, if you don't have those resources in place, what is there to do? So when I talk to like different child welfare professionals, or when I do a number of trainings and stuff, I always talk about that aspect of mentorship and how we need to shift from just a very systematic type of approach. And I think that it will also lead into like humanizing us. And I say that a lot because I felt so dehumanized by the system. While there was a lot of good that came out of the child welfare system in terms of resources, and being able to have insurance, and like being able to like get therapy and stuff like that, there was a lot of trauma that they also continued to re-inflict upon myself, as well as my siblings, as well as my peers. And I think that also needs to be talked about. Like, they have a lot of flaws, and there's a lot of areas that need to be fixed. And sometimes people are afraid of the hard truth. We're trying to live in a world where we're still trying to operate from a child welfare system back from 1989. We're in 2026. What you did back then, you cannot do right now. And I think a lot of times that push, especially for people that maybe been in the field for 20 plus years, there's a lot of like they're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I think like these are the conversations that need to be had more. And I love that like you can identify when somebody is using the wrong language, or when somebody is like treating something as a grocery list. Like, those things are very important. And when you said earlier that you make sure that you don't refer to your students as case files, my heart was like, oh my gosh, like, because that's something that I always used to say, like, even with the court systems, I am not another case file number, I'm a person. And I think like, again, when I was talking about reclaiming my identity and really being able to find who I am as a person outside of being a former foster youth, is like taking back all of the labels that society wrongfully placed on me, right? Because if you look at statistics say that foster youth don't always graduate college. They don't always be successful. I graduated college in 3 years with 2 degrees. And that's something where it's like, if you look at statistics and you look at the different labels that people like pre-placed on me, I essentially beat the odds, right? So it's like pouring back into the community and shedding light on like stories like this, or conversations like this, where it's like our young people could see themselves in us and know that it doesn't matter if somebody's calling you a troubled teen. I was a troubled teen. I had a lot of pink slips, and I did not go to class all the time. But that's because that's because I was acting out. I was also a runaway. They couldn't find me a number of times. So you know what I mean? And it's like, we can get into those stories because I am not or what society thinks as like the perfect story, right? Or what these people think that they're getting. And I'm very, very firm in making sure I check them. Listen, if you want me to come in and train your workers, or if you want me to come in and speak, this is what you're gonna get. right? Because it's a lot of work, a lot of healing, and a lot of truth in who I am and how I've been able to get to this point.
No, well said, and amazing on changing the odds. I think that's what it is, right? Like you have an amazing journey and story, and like graduating with your double degrees and whatnot. It's like it just adds an extra affirmation that there's a statistical umbrella, but when you boil it down to each individual within that umbrella, we're not all we're not all drowning. We're doing all right. Some of us, and I think too, like one of the things I take so much pride in, and I'll kick it to Josiah.
I was gonna say we could go on.
We can go on forever. I'll say this because I something you touched on that I thought was really important. When I was first building Sun, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, what are you gonna do afterwards?" I'm like, I never understood that. Like 10 years ago, I'm like, "Oh, there is no afterwards for me." Like this is. I was at Amira's graduation. She's got her MBA. Woohoo!
Yeah.
And Senator Blumenthal was there and quoted Mark Twain, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good quote." And he's like, "There's two most important days of your life: when you're born and when you figure out what you're meant to do with your life." For me, I'm a lifer. This is where I'm meant to be. And there's so much joy that I get to take with saying, "Hey, like as someone that has had lived experience, and you as well, like living embodiment of this, to show that greatness is achievable." And there's nothing special, like to me about me. I got lucky in some ways. I worked hard in others. I was fortunate that hard work happened to pay off in others. But I feel like every day I get to show, and many of my staff get to show what lived experience can be. It's like, hey, yeah, life isn't easy. We have problems still. Certainly have problems. But the problems today aren't the problems that we were in yesterday. And just to show that this is possible, that we are not sentenced to the statistics that may have read. Oh, yeah.